Good morning, Agents of Nothing, and welcome to our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast. We're your commanding officers. I'm Mariah.
And I'm Caroline.
And today we are going to be talking about Season 4, Episode 12, Hot Potato Soup.
Yeah. So, Mariah, how was your week?
It was good. Mostly just working. Nothing too exciting has been going on in my life, but just as a mile marker of where we are in history, as of last night, Donald Trump got shot at.
Yeah.
So that's where we are.
That's what happened this week.
That's what happened this week.
Oh my God.
How was your week? Yeah.
I was like just out getting coffee with some friends, and David sent me an article to it, and I was like, it's not surprising.
No, I'm surprised it took this long, to be quite honest.
Yeah. It's certainly there's a lot of emotions to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Like, lost human lives is never something to root for.
No.
But at the same time, it does feel like people are caring more about this than like when it happens to a third grade classroom, you know?
Yeah.
So it's what can you say?
What can you say? What can you do? Anyway, so this episode was written by Craig Titley.
Mr. Titley.
And directed by Nina Lopez Corrado.
All right. So we actually get several new characters this time.
Yeah.
So we have Agent Davis, who's like kind of stealth hot. A little bit. Captain Anton Ivanov, who straight onion breath. Oh my God. This dude. We have Thurston, and I wouldn't exactly call him a comedian, but he tries. And then LT, who is a badass motherfucker. I love her.
Hell yeah. We have met Agent Davis before. I think this was just the first time he got a name.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So, yeah.
I even forgot who he was throughout the episode. So
yeah, you were like, who is that?
I figured it out. Anyway, so we open, and the first thing we see is Koenig!
Koenig!
He's back! Two Koenigs are practicing their hoverboards. Oh my God, that takes me back. That was so crazy that, like, they were everywhere for, like, a year, and then they were gone. Never to be seen again. But yeah, so they're practicing their hoverboards at an arcade when some Russian watchdogs try to take them by surprise.
Once again, the subtitles said speaking Russian instead of translating what they said, and I want to know.
I hate that so much.
I'm nosy. You can't do this to me.
Ugh. So, Billy takes out the watchdog that is shooting at Sam, and then Billy gets tased and kidnapped as soon as he runs outside. So Sam calls it into Coulson immediately, and it's my favorite gag of all time. Agent Coulson, this is Agent Koenig. They've got Agent Koenig. I repeat, they've got Agent Koenig.
So this is Patton Oswalt's first return as Billy and Sam Koenig since season 2.
Yeah! We love Patton.
We've missed him.
Why did I say that so weird?
We love Patton.
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 So Coulson is briefing Daisy and May about the Koenig situation. And they guess that the watchdogs took Billy because he has the Darkhold. Coulson gave it to Billy because he's good at making things disappear. He says that May is the only person that knows who he gave it to, so at least they know who to blame. And LMD May just guiltily waits for someone to say who they're blaming.
Poor thing.
Which, the way that he said that was misleading.
Yeah.
But Daisy comes to the rescue and says, obviously it's Radcliffe. Who else? If May was the only person that knew. Which I don't know how they jumped to Radcliffe from that.
I guess they're like, May would never betray anyone. May would never betray us, so it must have been a third party. It must have been the enemy that we've come to know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. By default, it has to be Radcliffe. They speculate that he is working with Senator Nadir as a means to an end, but they have to figure out what that end is. Coulson says, but taking a Koenig, that's like catching moonlight, which is such a beautiful analogy. A simile,
I want someone to
I
talk
think
about me like that.
Yeah, catching moonlight. Because he's impossible to catch? I think they just proved that he's not.
Yeah. He was pretty easy to catch.
Yeah.
Actually.
So then Agent Davis, who the fuck is this? Lets everyone know that Sam Koenig is arriving momentarily, so hopefully they will get a little bit more info from him on who took Billy. Radcliffe tells Fitz, what's the occasional bullet in the head amongst friends? Which is pretty topical, actually.
Yeah.
Fitz finishes putting LMD Radcliffe back together, and then he, Mac, and Simmons demand to know where the real Radcliffe is. The LMD says that he doesn't know and that they've got this all wrong. Radcliffe is the real victim. And then we cut to that dank dungeon, wherever the fuck it is, and real Radcliffe is tied to a chair and apparently struggling to get out when Billy Koenig gets dragged in, also tied to a chair by one of the watchdogs. The watchdog says that the two of them are the last one that either is going to see before they die. It's just such a weird thing to say. Koenig says, bring it on! We're both ready to die. Koenigs never talk. And Radcliffe says, hey, whoa, I'm not ready to die. Maybe you speak for yourself. The watchdog comes back and immediately contradicts his last statement by saying, the next guy that comes in here is going to torture you with the most torturous torture that anyone's ever tortured. He's going to break you and then kill you. Which means that actually that guy is going to be the last person that they see before they die. Not each other. So Koenig talks a big game as the watchdog leaves again, and then he turns to Radcliffe and he goes, that guy hits really hard. I really don't think I can take it anymore.
And then he tries to convince Radcliffe to kill him.
Do you have any cyanide? You know, at least he knows his limits, and he's like, I don't want to talk. I don't want to be the one that betrays everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I would do the same thing, I feel like.
Same. Just kill me. I don't want to do this. Radcliffe apologizes and says that he works for S.H.I.E.L.D. too, but he feels terrible that he gave them Koenig's name. He says he told them that Billy had the book. And Koenig goes, what book? What book? Radcliffe says he knows that Coulson gave Koenig the Darkhold, but Koenig doesn't really say anything else. So now, like, did he actually get the book? Did LMD May intercept it? He did get the book. But for him to be like, what book? The only book that anybody has been talking about recently. Also, Radcliffe, he really knows how to, like, weave truth into his lies, you know?
Yeah. He's too clever for his own good.
Yeah, absolutely. Little snake. So Sam Koenig arrives to the Zephyr and greets Coulson May and Agent Quake. That little flirt. He's obsessed with her. He tells them that he found the Hummer that took Billy by the docks, but no one was in it. So they either vanished or they dove into the sea. Which is, what a way to say that. And it turns out they dove into the sea. Radcliffe and Billy's dungeon is literally on a submarine. So Radcliffe tries to explain to Koenig that once he read the Darkhold, it expanded his mind and it drove him mad. And Koenig tells him, "You're getting all Gollum-y again." And so, like, how many times has he said that in this conversation? How weird has he gotten?
It must be like a really circular conversation.
For real. So Radcliffe says that maybe Koenig should just tell them where the book is so that they can go mad too. And I'm getting the feeling that Radcliffe is not really a prisoner, and he's just supposed to make Koenig think that they're prisoners together to feel safe enough to divulge where the book is.
Radcliffe is such a little rat.
Absolutely.
It's an insult to rats to call him a rat. I apologize to any rats or rat lovers that may be listening.
I'm so sorry, Ratatouille. Wait, Patton Oswalt was in Ratatouille.
Oh, yeah!
Wow. I love that. I also loved that I wrote that and I was right.
You see what I mean? The last time I, said... It was the episode with the briefcase, and I was like, oh, Caroline probably already knows what's in the briefcase. That's why.
Because I'm smart. But before Koenig can say anything else, the door opens, and then two guys bring in a squeaky-wheeled tray and place an onion on the plate on top, and then they leave. So again, that other watchdog guy was wrong about who would be the next man in the room. They actually see several people before they die. And then the other door behind Koenig starts to open, which is terrifying. Turn this man around.
Nope.
We're not doing that.
Especially, if I'm tied to the chair and I can't see behind... Nope. Nope. Nope.
Turn it around. What are you doing? And then a very tall Russian guy in a black overcoat walks in, and he says that he's the captain of this vessel and that they can choose if they will be treated like guests or removed piece by piece. And then he very creepily takes a shot of unmarked vodka and then sniffs a chunk of onion because that's the old way, and the old way is always better. And it seems to me you could have done this on your own time, but fine. And there's no way the onion thing is good.
I'm not gonna try it because I don't like alcohol.
There's no way. They kept saying it's better, but better than what?
Yeah.
And also how? What about it is better? Does it make it taste less like vodka? Does it bring out the flavors?
It's got to bring out the flavors somehow. I don't know. I will stick to my mango margarita. Thank you. The old ways might be better, but the new ways are tastier.
And I've always said that. Anyway, so he goes on to describe why the old ways are always better. He says that old machines are better because modern machines rely too much on software instead of hardware. And he says that humans are the superior machines. And then he breaks into song and he goes, "And I am a superior man."
To the tune of Material Girl.
Yeah. I didn't do the tune very well, I'm sorry.
I think it would be more like, "And I am a superior man."
Yeah, there we go. That was it. That's what I remember exactly. That's what he did on the show.
Yeah.
So, and then he breaks his shot glass with his thumb. Gross. And says that he heard Koenig refuses to talk and loves pain. And the captain loves to make people feel pain, so they're a perfect match. Sadism and masochism. What a flirt. Oh my god, everybody in this episode is so flirty. He is about to stick the broken glass into Koenig's eye. Disgusting. When Radcliffe suddenly stands up and very easily gets out of his bonds, and he says that Senator Nadir said Koenig wouldn't be permanently damaged. The captain says, Senator Nadir is not the captain of this ship. And then he asks what Dr. Radcliffe would suggest, and Radcliffe says to let him get into Koenig's mind. And I fucking knew he was a plant! I knew it!
I also just feel like, if they could have gotten into his mind the whole fucking time, why waste time
literally
trying to get him to admit it any other way if you can literally look into his memories?
Like, you wasted hours on just, like, talking to him when you could have just... You're evil anyway. Just do it the easy way. Anyway. So, Fitz, Simmons, and Mac are trying to work on LMD Radcliffe. They're trying to break into his code and change his programming so that he sings like a canary. But his code is very weird and complex and unlike anything Fitz has seen before. And Simmons says, where's Daisy when you need her? But she's on the plane still. So that's where she is when you need her. She's on the plane. While Fitz is trying to break in, the LMD starts speaking in Latin and then glitching out and doing the head turn thing.
So when the Radcliffe LMD is acting possessed, he says, and I am definitely going to butcher this, but I'm going to try it anyway just for humor's sake. Amicite nostre memoriam spero sempiternum fore, versapit qui paca locutor alia iacta est, which is Latin and translates to, I hope that our friendship will be everlasting. It is a wise person who talks little. The die is cast.
That is not what I thought he said. That is so far from what I was assuming. Weird.
I think the die is cast is such a creepy sentence.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Ugh. It's a little like, I feel like depending on context, it can be just kind of like a, it is what it is. But they weren't talking about that.
Yeah. I feel like Radcliffe is like the LMD is like, whatever happens now, like, I've set it into motion.
Yeah. Ew.
Ugh.
I don't like that. So Fitz finally, like, hits a button or whatever to get him to stop, and Radcliffe just starts whistling like a canary.
What an asshole.
This was very creepy. Like, yes, an asshole move. Little shit. So Daisy and Sam are going over the security footage from the bar. Sam says that Billy isn't really the fighter of the two of them, that Billy ran. And Daisy points to the screen and says, no, look, that's Billy kicking ass, and then that's you hiding behind the bar. Koenig says, no, I think you have us confused. And Daisy says, you're literally wearing the same thing right now. I love this. I could have watched an hour of just that.
Yeah, I feel like Chloe and Patton probably had such a good time filming those little interlude scenes.
Absolutely. The one where where they talk about, like, calling her Quake and stuff. Yeah. Fantastic. That could have been the entire episode, and I would have been so happy. So May asks Coulson where Billy would have put the Darkhold, and Coulson says he has no idea. That was the point of giving it to Billy. May says that they're gonna have to get it back and destroy it, and that Coulson should have given it to her instead. He says, then they would have you right now, and I was trying to protect you. And May says she doesn't need protection, and Coulson says he knows, but he's lost so much lately, and he didn't want to lose her too.
Coulson, you already have.
I hate this.
So this is the second episode in which Melinda May doesn't appear after the episode Laws of Nature in 2015, although Ming-Na Wen portrays her life model Decoy.
That's such a, that's like a gotcha question at, like, a trivia night or something. Yeah. Which character was in every episode? I'm pretty sure May was in all of them. Except for when she was a life model Decoy.
May isn't in this episode, but Ming-Na Wen is.
So they catch up with Sam and Daisy, who have determined that both of the kidnappers are Russian. Coulson tells Sam that the reason they were after the Koenigs was because he entrusted an object to Billy. And Sam asks if the object was smaller than a Quinjet. What a question. And Coulson says, that's classified, but yes. And then Daisy starts running facial recognition on one of the Russians. Radcliffe and Ada get Billy ready to go through his mind. And Koenig says that they will be getting nothing out of him. He'll never talk. Radcliffe says they don't need him to talk. They're going to get everything they need from his brain without even touching him. And Koenig says, good luck! My brain is like a steel trap inside a sealed box. So they give him a relaxation simulation to get started.
A puppy!
A puppy! So the Russian captain says, this book better be worth it. And Radcliffe says that if they want to get rid of Inhumans, then the answer is in the book. The captain asks, what's in it for Radcliffe? And he goes, I don't know, a better world? Whatever. He's like, I don't give a shit. And then just, oh my god, Chloe Bennett is so fucking beautiful. This shot of her at this point in the episode was just stunning.
She is gorgeous.
Put it in the Louvre. So while Daisy is going through the facial recognition results, Koenig is fangirling about being there with Quake. Daisy's like, Sam, we've known each other for 3 years. And he says, yeah, I knew Sky, but you're Quake. She's different. And Daisy says that she certainly is not. She is not different, and she actually really doesn't like the name Quake. Koenig says she's a superhero. And then he asks if she's read any of the fanfic about herself. Obviously not. No. He starts to say that she should Google it, and then immediately says, no, maybe she shouldn't, because it actually gets pretty steamy, especially when she gets shipped with Black Widow. And not that Sam's read any of that, but, you know, you hear things, and, like, wow, you know? And luckily for Daisy, Coulson and May arrive just as she has found a match. Leo Babikov. And I don't know which one was supposed to be that guy. But he is connected to the 2 assassins who tried to kill the director, which connected them to Nadir, and they all have ties to the Russian president, I think, who threw Morse and Hunter under the bus after they saved his life. And most importantly, he's the guy that brought in the onion. They realize that all of these people are connected by their hatred of Inhumans. Koenig says that they're all after the Darkhold to use it to exterminate all Inhumans. And they are shocked. Everybody's shocked to hear that Sam knew about the book. May asks if he knows where it is, and he just says that it's secure.
It's so, like, May was so suspicious this episode.
She really was.
Like, I know that they're looking, like, they're trying to protect the book, but all she talked about was the book.
Literally. I think she didn't have any other lines.
No.
Fitz is still getting nowhere with the Radcliffe LMD, and Radcliffe is talking about how they need to have trust. And Fitz starts to go off on him, and I wish they would have let him.
Yeah.
Just keep going. He starts to go off about how Radcliffe betrayed him. You want to talk about trust? You betrayed me, bro. Mac reminds Fitz that this isn't the real Radcliffe, and Fitz says, yeah, but he thinks like him. And it would have been so cathartic if he would have just let him yell at him.
Yeah. I wish I had an LMD to, like, yell at of the people that I'm mad at.
Hell yeah.
And then they could talk back, and I could be like,
Exactly. Exactly. So
the amount of I want so badly for me to, like, be, like, laying into someone, and they try to talk back, and I go, I wasn't done talking.
Yes. Yes. That's what happens when I have my imaginary conversations in the shower, you know. So Fitz says that Radcliffe betrayed him, used him, and the LMD says again that Fitz was like a son to him. So Fitz tells him to shut up. And then Radcliffe keeps talking, so then Simmons tells him to shut up. And I loved it.
What's gonna work? Teamwork.
Radcliffe starts talking about Fitz's father, and Fitz nearly decks him. He tells Simmons that he doesn't know if he can do this. It might be beyond his capabilities. And Radcliffe says, that's just your father talking. He always says you weren't smart enough or good enough. Which is a wild thing to say.
Yeah.
So the face that Fitz made, I am probably going to watch it again after we do this, because just that face was so good. Like, I can't even... It was so good. It was like slow, and like the realization, and then the like, what the fuck did you just say to me? And then he goes, why would you say that? And Radcliffe says, because I knew your father. And what the fuck? Since when? Fitz says that's not possible, and Radcliffe just says, Glasgow's not that big. Which, okay, I guess.
Thibodeau's not that big, but I don't know everyone in Thibodeau.
Literally, that's what I was just thinking. And Glasgow's like one of the main cities in Scotland.
Yeah.
So I feel like
even if they did go to school together at St. Mungo's.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably a huge class.
For sure. Very weird. And yes, so they went to school together at St. Mungo's, which I was like, that's the name of the wizard hospital. But whatever. And then I did have to Google it, because I was like, is that like a... Because I thought that was just like a silly name that she who will not be named came up with. And it turns out that he is like that's like a real saint that people name stuff after in Scotland. He's apparently the patron saint of Scotland and the patron saint of Glasgow, and the founder of the city, apparently. And there is a cathedral named after him, and a major like homelessness charity named after him. So
nice.
The more you know. Anyway, so Radcliffe goes on to say that they weren't friends, but they rode the same train together, and sometimes they would sit together, and at least one time he may have shown Radcliffe pictures of his new baby, Leopold. And before we continue, how long were they in school together? Because...
Yeah, was this college? What is St. Mungo's?
I don't know. And just because you, like, ride the train together doesn't mean that you're going to talk about everything in your life. And also, if all they did was, like, sometimes sit together on the train, it's one thing, like, is if they're in really any kind of school, you wouldn't have had the baby long enough to, like, to have any kind of opinion on his intelligence level. If you're like, oh, look at my new baby, here's a picture of my brand new baby, Leopold. That's an infant, and you're telling this stranger my infant is stupid?
I know.
And worthless? What the fuck? My flabber is gasted, okay? I genuinely don't know how to handle that.
I've seen the whole show, and I still cannot tell if Radcliffe is lying about this or not.
That is a wild thing to say. It's very weird. Fitz, thankfully, has decided he's heard enough, and he unplugs Radcliffe, just as Radcliffe says that Fitz's father wanted Radcliffe to tell Fitz something. So, just daddy issues everywhere. And you're saying that you weren't friends, and you only knew each other back in the day when you were in school together. This guy is, what, in his 50s? Are you... Yeah. You still know each other? And you talk now? What would you have known about him? What would Fitz's father have told you to tell Fitz? There's no way. There's no way. If he's while you're in school together and you're riding the train together, he's showing you pictures of his new baby, and then he left said baby 10 years later.
When did you run into him again?
Right.
At your fucking school reunion?
And why would he know that you know his son? I feel like Fitz is not that uncommon of a name.
I feel like, I don't know anything about Scottish surnames, but I feel like there's probably at least 100 Fitzes in Scotland.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm team he's lying. He's just making all this shit up. Anyway. So, speaking of Radcliffe, back to the real one. While they are waiting for Koenig's memories to download, Radcliffe asks the captain why he even hates Inhumans so much. He says that... And the captain says that they didn't suffer to become who they are. They have great power, but they didn't earn it, so they're unnatural. And I'm like, okay, go after every world leader and billionaire. Like, what? Also, they, like, half of them didn't even want it.
Yeah.
It just happened to them. It's not their fault. He says that they are going to destroy the Inhumans and then go after the thing that made them. The aliens? The Kree? I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? The cocoons? Anyway, these people are fucking crazy. But before they can explain more, Ada announces that Koenig's mind mapping is complete and Radcliffe can now enter his memories. So they remove Billy from his puppy! Rude! And they take him to the brig. And then Radcliffe puts on the helmet thing and he dives in. And he thinks that he's seeing Koenig build a bomb for the Darkhold, but it's just a Darth Vader alarm clock. Which I love.
Fantastic. You funky little nerd.
Sam tells S.H.I.E.L.D. that, or as Radcliffe is simultaneously realizing that Billy doesn't have the book, Sam tells S.H.I.E.L.D. that Billy doesn't have the book. He gave it to Sam. And then Radcliffe forgets the word for twin. He's like, he he looks just like him. He either has a brother or a replica. Like, no one else in the world would have a replica of themselves except for Radcliffe. He's the only one who would do that. So Sam, Coulson, Daisy, and May play a little who's on first before Sam finally tells them that the other Koenig, LT, has the book. Special Agent L.T. Koenig is the original Koenig who got the rest of them into S.H.I.E.L.D. in the first place. And Coulson says that no Koenig is safe, so they need to find L.T. Mac finds Simmons in the kitchen and asks how Fitz is doing. Simmons says he's okay, but he needs some space at the moment, and she explains that Fitz's dad was not a good man. Clearly, he's talking shit about his newborn baby to a stranger on the train.
Imagine he's in if he's not lying, then that would the logical thing would mean that this is a college-aged person talking to a stranger on the train, going, "Look at my baby, he's so stupid." I hate him so much.
He's so
Look
stupid
at him, he's
and
so
worthless.
Like a 22-year-old guy.
Now, having said that, I absolutely have met 22-year-old guys who would do that. Oh my god. Anyway, she says that he always told Fitz that he was stupid and worthless, and then he left them when Fitz was 10. So Mac asks if they could find the guy through S.H.I.E.L.D., and Simmons says she's sure they could, but Fitz doesn't want to, obviously. And it literally would not be helpful to do that at all.
No.
There is no reason to find this man.
Yeah.
And you know what? I bet even if they did, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, that thing I wanted to tell you is that you're stupid and worthless." I just wanted to remind you.
In case you forgot.
So Daisy and whoever the fuck this guy is, it was Davis, walk into a bar/comedy club that is apparently the last known location of one L.T. Koenig. Daisy reports to May that so far there's no sign of him. But lots of man buns and a handlebar mustache. In the car outside, Coulson brings May her green tea, and they toast their drinks to making it through so much together, including both of their own deaths. May says, "We've been making a lot of toasts lately. Maybe we should try something different." And then they both slowly start to lean in. What the fuck? What's happening? I genuinely don't know how I feel about this pairing. Like, I feel like they might as well be together. Like, as for, like, their real selves. They're like a perfect fit for each other, right? They know each other so well, but also platonic soulmates are lovely. And I like that they've had such a pure friendship. But, like, they might as well be together. But, regardless, this isn't May, so I hate it. I don't like it at all. It's icky as fuck. But, luckily, Daisy interrupts them and says that they need to get inside immediately. And also, now I'm like, they're literally on a mission right now. They were just gonna, like, sit in the car making out while Daisy's, like, relying on them for backup. So unprofessional.
So unprofessional.
And how long did they expect to be in the car for? Because Coulson had only just gotten back with the drinks. So, and Daisy had only just arrived.
Yeah.
So he dropped Daisy and Davis off and then immediately left the car to go to the coffee shop and get their drinks, and then came back and they were about to make out, and then immediately Daisy's like, "I need you," and like, that, y'all couldn't have just sat there for 5 minutes? That was all it took.
They didn't even need the drinks.
Yeah, they didn't even get to drink them. So Koenig is doing a stand-up set, about how terrible S.H.I.E.L.D. is and that they are brainwashing the public. What a set. So Agent Davis says under his breath that this set is terrible. And then a woman puts a gun to his back and throws him on the table for it. Coulson and May come rushing in as Daisy and Koenig are trying to defuse the situation. And Koenig says that she ruined his set, and she says that he did that to himself by being terrible. And then finally we find out that the comedy Koenig is named Thurston, and the woman is Special Agent L.T. Koenig. And I do have, like, a very vague memory. After the reveal, I had a very vague memory of the OG Eric Koenig insisting that they had siblings and not just brothers. So, wow. Not really a twist, but it was kind of a twist.
Kind of a twist, yeah.
They told us, but a long time ago. So, Thurston is being a whiny little bitch about being on S.H.I.E.L.D.'s plane, and LT tells him as much.
So Thurston says that if not for LT, Eric would still be alive, and I was so taken aback by that, because that is such a terrible thing to say to your sister. Holy shit.
That is the worst. So I can see why they fucking bully Thurston. He sucks. So the three Koenigs bicker a little more. And finally, Sam just brings them all in for a group hug. And then LT punches him in the stomach because you let your guard down. What do I always tell you? That came out as, like, Southern accent. She was definitely had more of, like, a New York or Boston accent. But I can't do accents. I can't even do my own accent half the time. I don't even know what mine is. So Daisy finds another match for the Russians, and the captain of the submarine is Antov Ivanov. Turns out, wait, I said Antov?
Yeah, you said Antov.
That's not right. Anton Ivanov. And he is a very rich collector of antique war stuff. He likes weapons and vehicles, especially a submarine. So they know that is where Billy is. They don't know where the submarine is, but they know that he is on a submarine. Which means he could be literally anywhere on the planet. So they looked to LT and said, at least the book is safe, right? And she says, actually, I gave it to Billy. It was Operation Hot Potato. She says that Billy probably put it in the labyrinth, which is a secret S.H.I.E.L.D. vault that only the Koenigs know the location of. So they need to get there before the Russians get the location out of Billy. And what a crazy thing. Only the Koenigs know about this place?
The Koenigs are, like, probably one of the most trusted families in S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wasn't Eric Eric was the only one who had access to the first base that they met him at. Mm-hmm. And then I believe it was Sam that we met next. Or no, it was Billy.
Yeah.
It was Billy that was at the other base.
Yes. Yeah.
I wonder where LT was.
LT was just doing her thing. She was out there kicking ass. And looking out for Thurston, apparently.
Yeah. She's like, I am the only one who can bully my brother. You better not heckle him, or I will tackle you to the ground.
I will tell him that he's terrible, but you cannot. And I will shoot you for it. So, Radcliffe has just found out the memory. Radcliffe has just found the memory of Billy entering the labyrinth and all the secret codes to get in. And it's like a comical number of secret codes.
So the final vault inside the labyrinth is an Excelsior 5200. Excelsior was Stan Lee's famous catchphrase.
Aww, Stan. So once they see the final location of the book, or the briefcase at least, I was suspicious about that, but clearly I was wrong about that. Radcliffe says to turn the boat around so that they can go find it. The captain refuses, though. He says that he still wants to torture the information out of Koenig, and if it's the same, then they can go. Which is so stupid. Do you want it or not? You are wasting so much time. Radcliffe refuses, but the Russians grab him and Ada threateningly. So Ada just punches one and then disembowels the other one with her bare hand.
Which, holy shit.
What the fuck? And then with her bloody hand, she catches the third guy's punch and then breaks his wrist. Holy fuck. The captain thinks that she's an Inhuman at first, and he's pissed that Radcliffe would bring an Inhuman on his ship, but then he's very pleased when Radcliffe says that she's a machine that he made. Simple and better. I don't whatever he said.
Yeah. I don't understand that logic, personally. Like,
yeah.
Because the robot also didn't work to earn her powers.
Yeah. She was created.
And she also relies very heavily on software.
Uh-huh. That's fine because she's on the Russians' side for now.
Yeah.
So he gets to use that, so he's fine with it. So Fitz is by himself in their room looking at a picture of him and his mom when he was a kid, which makes me sad immediately. When Simmons softly knocks on the door and enters their bedroom. He says that he's been stuck in a loop, in this pattern of being betrayed by men that he cares about. His dad, Ward, and now Radcliffe. He says it just keeps happening. Someone give this man a hug, please, for the love of God. And Simmons says, I don't see it that way. And then she goes on to, like, say very sweet things. But her response makes me feel like there was a line that got cut or something, or, like, I missed something. Because I don't see it that way. As in, like, he didn't get betrayed by men in his life.
Maybe she meant, like, I don't see it that way, like you're stuck in a loop. Also, by the way, I can see the sound waves of it on my recording. If you can hear a lawnmower in the background, sorry, it's a Sunday afternoon in small town Louisiana.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. It is like a pattern, though.
Yeah.
But, whatever. She's being very sweet and says that he's the kindest, most loyal, smartest person ever. And she says that Fitz being so amazing isn't just programming. It goes way beyond that. And somehow that gives Fitz an idea. I love this so much. The, like, you just say a random sentence and then he's like, that's it. You said
it's
it.
Such
You
a TV
got
trope.
So Mac turns Radcliffe back on, and they debate about life and souls, and how can Mac be so sure that an LMD doesn't have a soul if it comes from something beyond flesh and blood, or ones and zeros. Pretty sure, like, a human being can't create a soul, though.
Yeah.
But, so Radcliffe says that if Mac is so sure that Radcliffe doesn't have a soul, then why did he feel the need to turn him back on before killing him? Which actually is an interesting question to pose. And Mac says he just likes to hear robots scream.
Which is a good response.
Yeah. So Fitz stops Mac right before he shoots Radcliffe in the face and says that he has an idea. And so he starts unscrewing the back of Radcliffe's head. Which is interesting to be like, he's screwed up in the head. I'm going to unscrew his head. That's like therapy. Radcliffe tells him to stop, or Radcliffe will never be able to tell Fitz what his father said. And Fitz says he doesn't care. He's not in that loop anymore. Which I'm so glad for his growth. Good for him.
Yeah.
Radcliffe is getting worried now and starts offering to tell them whatever they need to know if Fitz will just stop. Fitz says that he realized that the coding was just gibberish. The real programming is inside because the LMD has a brain. Okay.
I wasn't expecting it, even though we did see Ada, like, making a brain.
Yeah. Whatever.
And then he does say that he can't take credit for it because it was Ada's doing.
Yeah. Right.
Interesting.
So, the Koenigs bring Coulson, May, and Daisy to the labyrinth. Daisy and LT wait at the door, and Daisy asks her about growing up with so many brothers. And LT said that she made them cry all the time, and the laundry was disgusting.
The exact quote was, "Enough DNA to build a clone army." Gross.
That's disgusting.
All I can think about is crunchy socks now. Thank you.
Ugh. Disgusting. So moving on. Coulson and May follow Sam to the first secret entrance and then wait there while Sam goes in alone. Coulson asks if Coulson has read any good books lately because they're in a library. And Coulson says, "Imagine how big our brains would be if we read them all." Stoner Coulson, apparently. What the fuck?
Big brain.
And it was
Coulson's
so,
having
like,
a big brain moment.
that's such a random response.
Read any good books lately? Imagine how big our brains would be if we read them all.
If we read every book. First of all, I don't think mine wouldn't change because I read a book and then immediately forget everything that happened in it.
No, really.
I remember if I liked it or not. And that's it. Anyway, so Fitz explains to Mac and Simmons that this brain is made of light, but it acts like a corporeal, biological human brain, which Fitz confirms should not be even remotely possible. Radcliffe, as we said, says that this was all Ada and the Darkhold, and then he mentions brains, plural, and Simmons gasps. She saw him map the other brain and realizes that May has been replaced. Fucking finally.
Simmons, you beautiful smart queen.
She's incredible. She solved this whole thing by saying that Fitz was more than programming. Can't believe it. So Coulson and LMD May are still talking at the library, and Coulson says that he has this dream about going to Ireland to read Ulysses in all the pubs around Ireland. And I don't know what Ulysses is, but that sounds actually not great.
Lovely. Oh. Sounds lovely to me.
Reading in a bar? No, thank you.
I do that all the time.
But would love to read around Ireland.
Maybe in public parks.
Yeah, on a bench or something. So May says that maybe she could go with him. They have what would be a very sweet moment, and they kiss! Except that she's not May, so it's not sweet. It's very icky, and I don't like it at all. So LT interrupts as Sam, just as Sam is coming back with the briefcase. Thank God she fucking, like, announced her presence before she turned the corner.
I know, and they still didn't break apart in time.
Literally, they were so slow. So LT says that they have armed company, so Sam passes the case off to May and then runs after LT to help. And Coulson tells May to give the to give the bag to him, and she says no. And then he says, I don't want you to be the target, just give it to me. And she freezes, and then she aims her gun at Coulson and says, I can't. Fuck! Coulson keeps ordering May to lower her weapon and give him the book, but she keeps saying that she can't. And then he realizes that she's an LMD because he says, you can't because you're not programmed to. And then she's like, how did you know? And then he's like, there are some things you can't fake, but I'm pretty sure he knew because you just said, I can't not point a weapon at you when you're trying to take this book from me.
Yeah.
She tries to insist that she's real because she has all of May's memories and thoughts and desires, but Coulson says that the real May would never betray him. So then just before she shoots, Daisy quakes her ass and says, so May's a freaking robot. Which is, it's such a satisfying way to read that line. I love it so much.
I loved her delivery. Like, so May's a freaking robot.
Genius. She says that Fitz and Simmons just hold her as they take the bag from May and run out to help the Koenigs. Coulson offers to give the Russians the book for Billy's release. He slides it over to them on the floor so that they let him go, but then before they can grab it, Daisy quakes it away from them and the gunfight ensues.
I'm sure the fight was great, but my screen was so dark I could not see anything.
Yeah. It was interesting because they just kind of like showed all the different guys that they've like had on the facial recognition scenes, but I still was like, I don't know who these people are. I don't know why I'm supposed to recognize. Just because you show a clip of their face doesn't mean that I know who they are. Clearly. But so eventually Billy picks up the book and he runs, and then he finds May on the floor asking for help, so he lets go of the briefcase to help her, and then she slams his head on the ground to knock him out so that she can take the bag. But then she still can't get up. I'm like, if you're gonna do that, then move.
Army crawl.
Yeah. But before she can get up, Radcliffe appears through the door closest to her and then takes the book. He says that her mission is complete. She begs him to take her with him, but he says that she wasn't built to last, and he leaves her there. Wow.
Ouchie. She's like an iPhone that got too old.
Yeah. I would have taken her, considering that my iPhone is cracked and the fucking case is gross and broken and it still has a button. On the plane, Billy apologizes for letting Coulson down. Coulson says it's okay because they found out the name of Billy's captor and that he's funding Nadir and possibly Radcliffe, and now they can hunt him down. Which Coulson always finds the bright side in things.
Yeah.
So Billy and Sam start talking about how impressive Radcliffe's LMDs were, and Davis is confused. Sam explains that they are all technicians, and Davis thought that all of the Koenig brothers were robots. Classic Davis, you know what I mean?
Right.
He does this all the time, you know? So, then the SHIELD team all join together to burn the Radcliffe LMD. They don't want to burn the May one just yet, because until they find the real May, this LMD is all that's left of her. And it's, like, kind of a lot to have left of her. It's her whole brain.
Yeah.
And now that her mission is complete, she doesn't, like, have to betray them. She's still not real, and so it's still gross and icky, but...
Yeah.
It is weird. Anyway, so as they all leave the room, Daisy promises Coulson that they will find her.
Oh.
Aww. So now it's time for the post-content content. Radcliffe is sitting with the Russians on the submarine, enjoying their vodka shots and sniffing their onions. I said it before, I'll say it again. There's just no way that that's pleasant. I'm sorry. There's no way that's good.
I'm gonna do my own version of that, where I I don't know, take a pickle shot and then smell a cucumber.
Yeah. And it's so weird to, that they just smell it. They don't even, bite it. They don't eat it. They just...
It's gotta bring out some sort of flavors, because there is a thing, I don't know if you've ever tried to eat somewhere where it stinks. Yes, and it's disgusting. But your food tastes terrible.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Your taste and your smell are very connected, and so I understand that to an extent. But, neither of those things taste good.
Yeah.
And, even for people who like alcohol, vodka is the mildest alcohol. So, and onions don't smell good.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I think it's just some sort of weird testosterone thing.
Probably. I feel like if you were really going to do something to, bring out the flavors of vodka or something, you would do, a potato or something. Because it's, made out of potatoes.
Vodka French fries.
But, vodka is made of potatoes, right? It's potato water. So, it seems like that would bring out the flavor more. I don't know. Anyway. So Radcliffe finally asks what Ivanov meant by destroying the thing that brought the Inhumans. And Anton says that there was one man present every time something alien happens on this planet, after the Chitauri, the Kree, and the Inhumans. Technically, he wasn't there before, 2005. He wasn't there the other times that the aliens were there. Someone who was pronounced dead and is still everywhere, and who was there last night when they got the book. Phil Coulson. Dun, dun, dun.
So Anton Ivanov shows Dr. Radcliffe a copy of Agent Coulson's obituary. The death date is listed as May 4th, 2012, the American-wide release date of The Avengers.
Aww. That was a good one.
Yeah.
So Radcliffe...
it's so amusing to me that he's there was a man everywhere after every alien invasion. Almost like that was his job.
Literally.
Almost like he works for S.H.I.E.L.D.
So Radcliffe assures them that Coulson is not dead and that he can help them kill him. Fucking Radcliffe. After everything Coulson did for you, he gave you a second chance after you betrayed them, and then you betrayed them again, and now you're gonna help kill him? Just, keep sniffing your onions, man. I don't... What are you doing?
Oh, God. Overall thoughts?
I'm mad. I'm so mad. What about you?
So I've got one last fun fact, because I could not remember where this happened. But Sam Koenig mentioned Red Dawn, 1984, which features Clark Gregg's at-the-time wife, Jennifer Grey.
What?
Yeah.
He was married to Jennifer Grey?
Oh, yeah. That's who he has his daughter with. From Dirty Dancing, yeah.
Oh, my God!
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's amazing.
That's his ex-wife.
Wow.
Apparently, from what I hear of them, obviously I don't know them personally, but it seems like they still have a lot of love for each other, so.
Aw, good.
And Adrian Palicki also appeared in Red Dawn 2012 with Crims Hemsworth.
with Crimson Hemsworth.
The Crimson Chin.
and the cleft boy wonder. Wow.
I'm so glad you learned something new.
I know. I feel, were there not a lot of fun facts for this episode?
No, there also wasn't a Wikipedia page for it. I meant to mention that, but
who's making the Wikipedia pages? Y'all are missing some. What happened? Man.
Oh, God. Well, that concludes our episode on Season 4, Episode 12, Hot Potato Soup.
Yeah.
Next time, we'll be covering Season 4, Episode 13, Boom. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Love you.